RestoringFreedom.org has created an amendment that is unique and has come up with a way that, if implemented, I think will actually reduce and eliminate eventually our federal debt. And I'd like to read that amendment. It says, an increase in the federal debt requires approval from a majority of the legislatures of the separate states.
What this provision would do is it would restore the power of the states to counteract the federal government when it proposes to increase debt. It would thereby balance power against power in the same tradition as the separation of powers doctrine. What I see this provision as being is something that fits squarely within the philosophy of the founders, that it would force the federal government to negotiate with representatives of the people outside of Washington, D.C. before they incur any debt. That can only be a good thing.
There is a way for state legislators to be able to say to the Congress, look, you need to have the discipline that we have. Most state legislators live under a situation where they have to balance a budget. They would love to see the federal government, the Congress, under the same kind of constraint.
With the explosion of debt that we're talking about now, if there was ever a glaring omission in the Constitution, it is the omission of any mechanism by which to control the ability of the federal government to generate debt.
I think this is a powerful idea whose time has come, and I hope that every American, for their own sake and for the sake of their children and grandchildren, will embrace this measure and make it a very, very high priority.
50 states with 7,500 legislators will have an opportunity to look behind the curtain and see what is going on in Washington, D.C. when it comes to mortgaging our future. That kind of transparency and that kind of check this amendment offers is priceless, no matter what process is put in place to get the approval in front of those legislators.
Every American can understand exactly what this proposal is all about. There is no ambiguity in its phrasing. It is very, very clear.
If the federal government thinks it's wise to deficit spend, we'll have a full-out national open debate over it.
And there is no time like the present to reassert our control through the states and the state legislators over the federal government.
People are entirely capable of losing faith in a nation's ability to pay back debt. And that has definite economic impacts. Well, when you have the government spending so much money and distorting the economy, what you have is a crowding out of private economic activity.
My view is that if we do not pass this amendment, we will find that we will need it desperately. For that to happen, we have to have the broadest popular consensus. It will send one of the most powerful messages to Washington, D.C. It will be nothing short of a tsunami.
Doesn't matter what political party's in control, the same old story repeats itself. A Congress that is unable to restrain itself and continues to borrow and borrow from our future children's children and children to the point where government will no longer be sustainable at the federal level.
It is a battle worth having no matter what, because it will galvanize the American people, Democrats as well as Republicans, to express their concern about the mounting federal debt.
Please go to RestoringFreedom.org, review the resolution, and sign up as a member and supporter today. Next, contact your governor, state senator, or representative and ask them to support this important initiative.